I actually ordered the wrong one to start with. This one is without fixed ventilation. So the one that I did order by mistake was the fixed ventilation one, which is generally for caravans. And the idea of those is that you've got continuous ventilation to stop the caravan furnishings, upholstery going mouldy over winter storage. But if you use that in a motorhome, reading up, it seems that you would get a whistle from it as you drive along. And the other thing is, here in Scotland we have the famous midge, or midges, in definitely in plural, and they would probably get in the fixed ventilation. So I sent that back and got the proper one, and this proper one is more streamlined, sort of shaped at the front. So first thing I've got to do is remove these bolts with a star bit. So I've removed the back ceiling panel. The ceiling's made up of two panels, and I've just slid it above the cab. Now that's a vent that was in already, and if you need to get into any of the electrics, for example, it's so easy with just the two boards in the ceiling. So I'm going to put this skylight in, and something I need to be aware of is this flange here, which is part of the roof beam, the structural member across the roof. And as you can see, there are these ribs. The ribs I have in this van are at 200 centres. So the hole I need to cut, it would be in the centre of that rib, miss the middle rib, and the centre of that rib, assuming I wanted the skylight, roof light, dead centre in the van. I was hoping to be able to use these existing ceiling pieces of wood, and I made up a couple of extras to go across to frame out the roof light. I'll lose this sound deadening material that I've got up, but that's not an issue. So on the roof, you can see the ribs. Actually, I can see some rivets, welds or something there, so it's probably there. But what I'll do is drill a hole from inside when I've measured. Well, that's the roof light dead center on that rib, center rib, and there is what we're dealing with. You've also got a 20mm 2cm flange. That is a small moulding trough to put your bead of silicone in, or whatever sealant you're using. I've just opened the Skylight to have a look how it sits on those ribs, and I'm just measuring, and I've got the 432, so that's 16mm each side instead of 20 each side. So I've put my rule against the flange on the roof beam, and I want to get to the center of the Skylight, and that would be 200. So I'm adding 5mm, a wee bit more, to make sure I miss that flange properly when I come to cutting through from the top. So I've got one of these extending things for putting plasterboard up, and I've just made a kind of tent to catch all the filings. So on the drawing it shows you a 24mm bit to drill out the holes in the corners. I was just going to use a 10mm bit, enough to get the width or thickness of the hacksaw blade in, but I guess it's to match the radius here, and in my kit I've got either a 28mm or a 22mm. So I think we'll use the 22mm, and if I need to just file it a wee bit. I've just come inside to check that everything's okay on the inside, and just push the insulation back a bit more. Okay, we're in. It took a bit of filing towards one edge, and it's pretty snug actually. Very pleased with that. So now I've got to just paint the rough edges that I've already filed down. So the roof light that I bought was for roof thickness 25 to 60mm. If I go right into the rib with my ruler, I'm at least 70mm of a thickness, so that will mean that I don't need to cut any of these lugs off as per the instructions here. This says that you need, for the thickest ceiling, 34 mil. You see, that's 34 there. Now the tape is in the channels, so that's 4 lots, 5 strips in each one. But one thing with the Renault Trafic roof is it's not completely flat. So the centre rib is slightly higher than the side ribs, and there is some rocking. So I'm going to put some tape on the outside ribs to make sure it's kind of flat. This will give you an idea of what I'm talking about. If you can see this, see, not completely flat. I've put one bead along in the channel, but I think I'm going to squeeze another bead along the side of it in the rest of the channel. It's not at all like it shows you in the instructions, but that's all very well in theory, but actually trying to squeeze it out in the shape that they've done in the instructions is pretty much impossible. So I've put a second bead of sealant. It's probably overkill, it'll squeeze all over the place, but I'm thinking I'd rather have too much than not enough. Well, I've fitted the roof light, and I've been waiting so long for the screws to come from the manufacturer that were missing from the box. I've just used 4mm by 60mm wood screws, and they've worked perfectly. And I've put the ceiling back on, but my problem is that no way will this clip in to the proper places. It goes into that groove there, because of the studs or the timber that I have there to screw the ceiling into. It just won't grip, because you have this edge around, see this thickness of edge. So I'm going to have to make something up, some strips, because I'm trying to do this one-handed, once I mount it, there will be a gap showing like that. Right, so you can see the gap that I have. Now this middle piece still has its lugs at maximum length because of the way I sat the top unit on top of the ribs. So there was no cutting required, and what's happened because of my existing ceiling, you know, internal roof design, where I've screwed in the panels into wooden pieces, means that I can't get this fascia piece. Even if I cut the ceiling around here, it will still reveal a gap. It won't completely meet and push in with those metal gripper pieces that are supplied. So first of all, I tried a 20mm edging strip off of kitchen cupboards. That didn't work. It was not wide enough. So I've bought some bath ceiling or edge strip. This is the one that has a crease in the center. So I'm going to give that a try. It's what does that say, 38mm wide. Let's see how this works. I'm just cutting this plastic trim into 4 strips because it makes it easier to insert, and I've pressed it hard against this, the sticky part hard against this. I'm going to put this one on next. That's the strip installed. It's quite neat, not too bad. And from down here, it looks pretty good. That'll do.